So good afternoon, everyone, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to Leveling the Playing Field, the launch of Advising and Career Services Self-Advocacy Learning Modules for learners with disabilities. My name is Dimple Rai. I work as the Associate Director for Advising and Career Services, and I'd like to begin by thanking you for being here and for your shared interest in advancing inclusive, equitable approaches to career education. This event celebrates the launch of an important learning tool designed and developed in advising and career services and hosted by our Transition to Work Committee, also known as TTW. So TTW is a program that has been in existence at Humber for almost 9 years and focuses on enhancing career outcomes for learners with disabilities at Humber and at UGH. Today's event is about possibility, but it's also about responsibility. It's about recognizing that while talent and potential that our Humber students carry are abundant, but access to opportunity is not always the same. And today's event is about what we collectively can do to close that gap. At the heart of today's event, Leveling the Playing Field, is a commitment to career readiness and employability. As educators and partners at Humber, we often talk about preparing learners for the world of work and helping them build skills, confidence, and experience that they need to thrive in an increasingly complex and competitive work environment. At Humber, this work is guided by the Humber Learning Outcomes, or the HLOs, which emphasize the development of transferable skills that support academic success, career readiness, and lifelong learning. These outcomes form a strong foundation for employability. But for learners with disabilities, there is an additional critical skill that must be intentionally taught, practiced, and valued, and that is self-advocacy. Self-advocacy is not separate from employability. It is employability. The ability to understand one's strengths, articulate their needs, ask for support, navigate systems, and make informed choices is essential in today's workplaces. For learners with disability, self-advocacy can be the difference between simply accessing employment and truly thriving within it. It supports confidence, autonomy, and the ability to engage meaningfully with employers, colleagues, and supervisors. The learning modules that we're highlighting today intentionally embed self-advocacy as a core employability skill, working alongside Humber's learning outcomes rather than outside of them. They help learners connect career exploration with self-awareness, self-exploration, self-regulation, and self-advocacy. And in doing so, they reinforce the idea that inclusion is not about lowering expectations. It is about removing barriers and expanding pathways. This project would not have been possible without the support and collaboration of many people, and so I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge them. Thank you first to our colleagues from Innovative Learning, specifically Stephen, Remy, and Catherine from the Instructional Design team. Your vision and commitment to accessible, learner-centered design has moved this project forward in ways that are unimaginable before we started. Your expertise has helped to ensure that these modules are engaging, inclusive, and responsive to the real needs of our learners. We are also deeply grateful to IE&E, specifically my colleague Carrington Christmas, for her participation and support in allowing us to add culturally relevant content about the medicine wheel and its teachings as it relates to self-awareness. A sincere thank you to our TTW committee, Shashi Bhatt, our TTW specialist, who has been the leading organizer of today's event, Julianne Tiberia, Keith Manalo, and Karuna Dhawan for dedicating your time, and Keisha McQueen, Zoe Baines, Manpreet Atwal, Megan Jones, our alumni representative, and Melissa Patrizi from the University of Guelph Humber for support and collaboration. Your insight, your feedback, and your advocacy as part of this committee has helped shape this work in so many meaningful ways and ensures that the Transition to Work program continues to be lively, relevant, and impactful at Humber. And finally, I want to offer special recognition to Elaine Belanger-Porter, our Student Success Advisor from Advising and Career Services. Elaine, your hard work, your dedication, and your unwavering commitment to this project were key in turning this from vision to reality. From planning and implementation to research and design, you have brought thoughtfulness, persistence, and a deep belief in the impact that this work can have and will have on our learners. We are incredibly grateful for your leadership and for your passion. So as we move through today's event, I want to encourage you to reflect on how employability, self-advocacy, and inclusive design intersect with your own work in your areas. Consider how you can continue to help us champion these principles, embedding them into your programs, your classrooms, your events, your services, partnerships, and the learning that you do within your classrooms. So that leveling the playing field becomes not just an initiative, but a standard practice at Humber. Thank you. So it is now my pleasure to introduce Shashi Bhatt, our TTW specialist, who will deliver our land acknowledgement.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. So land acknowledgement has a special place in my heart, in my being here, and originally from where I belong. So Humber is located within the traditional and treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, known as Edobigok, the place of the elders in Mississauga language. The region is uniquely situated along the Humber River watershed, which historically provided an integral connection for Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples between the Ontario Lake Shore and Lake Simcoe, Georgian Bay regions, now home to people of numerous nations. Edobigok continues to provide a vital source of interconnection for all, and how it is deeply connected to me and where I belong. As an Aboriginal Kashmiri, Kashmir is the northern part of India. I carry with me a deep connections to land, ancestry, cultural and religious resilience. My roots remind me that land is not just a physical space. It is part of who we are. When I take part in land acknowledgements in Canada, I feel this connection resonate strongly. For me, participating in a land acknowledgement is both a moment of respect and a personal reflection. It reconfirms my awareness of shared histories of violence, genocide, struggle, and survival of Aboriginal people, and strengthens my commitment to reconciliation and allyship with Indigenous communities in Canada. My own story as an Aboriginal Kashmiri reinforces my commitment to reconciliation, to learning, and to walking respectively on this land that has been preserved to serve humanity till eternity. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashi, for sharing that very personal reflection and land acknowledgement. So I would like to now turn it over to Shashi Bhatt and Julianne Tabiria, who are going to be walking you through the roadmap of career services for a learner with disabilities and doing an activity with you.
Hi, everyone. So today we're going to take a few minutes to talk about the different supports that are available to learners throughout their college journey to sort of connect their academic experiences to the end goal of being career ready. So this mind map was developed by the TTW team to remind learners that they are not here doing this alone. From first year to graduation, you have program faculty and support services available to you to help you build your skills and be successful in your program and also in your career. So let's start with the Humber HLOs. So you may not hear about the HLOs every day in your classes, but they're actually embedded in your entire learning experience, in your courses, in your curriculum, and strengthened within the support services that are available to you across Humber. So you want to think of these as your employability skills, mindsets, and values that you are developing, which takes your education into real world career readiness. So you'll graduate not only with technical skills and knowledge, but also with professional skills that employers value. Your program faculty, if we start at this end, are obviously your industry experts, giving you that technical industry lens in your chosen field. The HLOs are about how you communicate, collaborate, solve problems, adapt to change, and contribute positively, not only in the workplace, but also in your community. These are transferable skills that employers consistently say they value when looking at new grads. But again, you're not developing these alone. Your faculty and support are here to provide the resources and experiences throughout your time at Humber to build these skills and mindsets at every stage. So let's start with accessible learning services. So sometimes when students arrive in year one, it's a big adjustment. And this is often when they begin connecting with services such as ALS. Advisors are here to work with students and support students who may be experiencing barriers and require accommodations to fully participate in their learning. And this can be accessed at any point in their program. This could include academic accommodations, assistive technology, supports navigating the classroom and the workplace, and even referrals to on and off campus services. Advisors will work in collaboration with your faculty, with the career and student success advisors, and with the WIL advisors. And the end goal is to make sure that you have the individual needs to build that self-confidence and be able to succeed inside your program, but also outside in your career of choice. Then we have a few different pieces of advising and career services. So again, as students continue through their programs, they often think about what's next? What are those next steps? What are those career pathways? What are those professional skills that I need? And this is where advising and career services comes into play a major role. So your career and student success advisors support students through their academic journey, helping them explore educational pathways, career pathways, understand their strengths, and set clear goals. They help with personalized guidance on academic progress, program decisions, and connect students with the resources that they need across campus. You also have the career support peers, and they're providing peer-to-peer guidance through one-on-one appointments and workshops where they help with resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, and your interview skills. You also have Career Connect, which is Humber's centralized online job career portal that helps students connect with potential job opportunities. These can be part-time, full-time, co-op, volunteer, on-campus work study, Humber roles, and you can look for roles that are tailored to your program, but also to the goals, the career goals that you're planning towards. So it also provides a tracking system so you can track all your applications. You have access and reminders to workshops and events, and it helps you build general search skills. And then, of course, we have Elaine, who is your dedicated student success advisor, providing specialized guidance and support tailored to the needs of learners with disabilities. So students have access to career support, one-on-one advising on career paths. They can help build their job skills, prepare for interviews, have access to tools such as the DICE assessment to understand their individual strengths, career paths, and potentially workplace accommodations. We are also providing support through the TTW team, the Transition to Work program, which offers workshops, events, and connections to employers and community partners, again, to help students feel confident and successfully transition into the workplace. Finally is work integrated learning, and that is often called WIL. Not all faculty and programs have them, but if your faculty and program has WIL, this could be an internship, a co-op, a field placement, lots of different names, applied learning projects, and placement. So this allows you to take what you've learned in the classroom and apply it in a real world setting. Gaining industry experiencing, you're networking with professionals in your area of choice, and you're developing confidence while you're out using those skills in the workplace. If you have WIL in your faculty, you'll have a dedicated WIL advisor who's there to help you with that end-to-end support to help you prepare for your experience, secure an experience, and complete the experience. So this could include things like one-on-one coaching and workshops, group workshops for resume development, interview prep, networking strategies, job search techniques, etc. They connect students with industry partners and job opportunities, support the approval process to ensure that you have someone to help you with negotiating and meeting with the employer, and support ongoing throughout your experience. So together, all these supports are here to help you graduate, again, not just with the technical credential, but also with confidence, experience, and professional skills that you need to be successful in your career of choice. So the earlier you access these supports, the more opportunities you could potentially develop for yourself. So having that big overview of our mind map, I have a quick activity. So I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios and ask if you know where the student would go for support. So let's do the first one. So Alex is a first-year student who's struggling to keep up with note-taking during fast lectures and is feeling very stressed during timed testing because they feel they need more time to process the questions. Alex is starting to worry this is going to affect their grades. Where should Alex go for support? That's right, ALS. Accessible Learning Services helps students with academic plans, accommodations. This can include extra time on tests, note-taking supports, assistive technologies. Perfect. Okay, let's do another one. Okay. Jordan is in the final year of their program, is registered with ALS. As graduation approaches, Jordan is wondering, should I discuss my disability with an employer? And when should I do that? What workplace accommodations exist? And what if an interview has a timed assessment? Where should I go for help to prepare for this?
Nectar.
So there's a couple different places. You can go to your ALS advisor.
Peer support.
You can go first to peer support. You can also go to Elaine, who can support you through the process. So again, helping you with those workplace accommodations, discussing strategies for sharing your needs with an employer, and connecting you to other transition resources such as advising in career services, and even your a potential will advisor if you have an upcoming experience. Okay, I don't think I have time for my third one. So thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day.
So thank you, Julian. So now we are going to, Julian gave you a macro information of what is available for the students. And this information is very important for the staff as well, because you have to guide the students. So now this area here, which is TTW, which is for, the program for the learners with disability, I'm going to take it out from here and place it here in a more broader perspective. So that one is macro and this is micro. So I had a pen here. Anyway, so this is where the student is. Yes. Oh, okay. It's a collaboration. So this is where the student is when they come here, when they come to any educational institution, and especially when they come in Humber College. And then they need to know that they have two paths available here. Both the paths cater to the same goal. The goal is to be work placement ready. The work placement ready is also an experience, because once they are work placement ready, they will go out in the real world and they won't be scared to be there, especially with learners with disability. So one path goes towards accessible learning services and another path goes to advising and career services. Now, when we talk about accommodations, everybody thinks is only academic accommodations where you are not able to write or you need support there, you need some support to choose your courses. But very less people know that there is an accommodation for workplace also. So in order for the students to be aware, they need to choose which path. They can choose both. They can choose either one, because either one or the other, and they can choose the both, because finally the goal is this: work placement ready. Now we have the program Accessible Learning Services, which you have just heard. The students can register with ALS services, and then they can also book an appointment with an advisor there. If they have any accommodations, they will be talked about the accommodations. There will be a discussion. After the discussion, they will get a letter, accommodation letter. Now, this accommodation letter, they can also take to the employers to show them that this is the accommodation which they need. And they can also review this accommodation letter and then finally go to WIL, Work Integrated Learning, which you already have heard about just now. So then the WIL will work with them and review the accommodation letter. And with that letter, they can go to an employer. Now, this is one path. The other path is if they need advising, career services, advising where they need to know how to write a resume, interviews, labor market, job market, everything. So the difference between here and there is that here they need to register. Here they don't need to register. They can come, they can book an appointment with the student success advisor. In our case, there is Aline here. And then Aline will discuss with them workplace accommodation. Now, you must have seen one thing and observed that here also we have workplace accommodation, and here also we have workplace accommodation. The difference is that here they get the letter, whereas here they don't get the letter. Instead, the discussion will lead to occupational research, which is DIAS and JDAP, which Aline is going to discuss with them, assess with them. They need to do that assessment. And then after that, now they need to see what they need to do, where the weakness is. And that weakness is covered with a new program which we are launching today, that is self-advocacy skills building. Earlier, it was not there. People knew there is this, but what they are doing, they were in silos. Everybody was working in silos. But this one, it has been now connected to each other. People need to be aware of who is doing what so that they can, successfully lead the students to the right place. And when they do this DICE and JTAP, then it leads to the self-advocacy skills building. And that is why we are here, for you to know what it is. And the stone is our stepping stone, and the foundation is Aline here. She is going to walk you through, this self-advocacy skills. After that, when they are fully equipped with these skills, then they go to work integration learning, and then the work will guide them to work placement ready. So this is what they need to know, what you as staff, you need to know, what you as students need to know, what you as alumni need to know. So today we are going to launch self-advocacy skills building to empower our students and to be successful in the real world of work, where they need to feel confident that, yes, they can do the job. Otherwise, they are scared to go out there. So when these skills they build up, Then and along with the accommodation letter, they are fully equipped with all the arms and ammunitions to face the world of work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julianne and Shashi, for walking us through those very practical tools and services that we have at Humber. And if folks have questions about that, we will have a Q&A period after our guest speaker and at the end of the event. So if you have questions about some of the services that Julianne or Shashi spoke about today, please let us know, write them down, hold them in your memory, and we'll take some questions at the end. We are about to move into the next part of our presentation. I did just want to quickly remind folks, when you came in, if you didn't receive a raffle ticket, please make sure you find one of us from the committee or visit our desk after, because we will be doing a raffle at the very end of the event for 5 $25 gift cards. So thank you for keeping that in mind, and hopefully that'll encourage you to stay until the end, not just for the raffle, but also for some delicious refreshments. Okay, so we move on to the next part of our presentation, and it is my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Marina Pinto Miller, our guest speaker for today. Marina presents herself as a disability advocate and solutions-driven disability content creator. In addition to being a public speaker, Marina is also a communications professional, award-winning writer, published author, and a fine arts exhibitor. Marina is no stranger to Humber. In 2019, Marina gave a talk at Humber on the same topic of self-advocacy. And the work within our modules is based strongly in the foundation of Marina's research and her own work around self-advocacy. Recently, Marina began serving as a board member for the Active Abilities Canada, which supports communities and organizations to facilitate the participation of people with disabilities in sport, physical activity, and recreation. Marina has also done a great deal of disability advocacy work with TD Bank. We are grateful to have Marina here today, so please join me in giving Marina a very warm Humber welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me today. I'm just going to try and move these onto the floor. Okay. I am very grateful to be here today. Thanks to Humber Student Success Advisor Elaine Belanger Porter and Dimple Rai. Dimple Rai, Associate Director. Yes. Elaine invited me over a year ago now to help develop and launch a shared passion project focused on self-advocacy for students with disabilities in the Transition to Work program, also known as TTY. The truth is that I was all in the moment Elaine said to me, Marina, these students aren't getting the opportunities they're qualified for and deserve. Why? Because they won't talk about their disabilities and what they need to succeed in interviews. They are terrified. Those were Elaine's very words. Terrified. That's the word that got me to where we are today. That, plus, of course, I got to make the videos. My great love. So, a word about the word terrified. When I was starting out like you, the truth is, I was absolutely terrified too, because there was nothing out there to support people with disabilities like myself who wanted to get out and work. I tried, like you, to hide my disability in plain sight. If I didn't talk about it, maybe it might magically dissolve. That was my thinking. But of course, that doesn't happen. And it took me decades to figure out that maybe denial is not the best way to go. In fact, I emerged out of my own self-imposed silence and started truly speaking up only 10 years ago, and that's because I absolutely felt pushed to the wall, had to. It was terrifying, absolutely. And yet, when I look back, all of what I'm about to share with you happened despite my terror and not necessarily because I had it all together. It's just possible that I've also succeeded in having 30 years of paid employment because of my disabilities and differences. So before we get into the body of my talk, I'd just like to say a word about what I like to call flipping the script. My question is, why are we so afraid to be ourselves? This is true for people with disabilities, and also, I believe, true for people who don't have any disabilities at all. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there was no room for disability in society outside of maybe the Paralympics. So the societal expectations I was met with outside my immediate family and friends were basically nil. Why bother, fill in the blank here, going to university since you can't even walk? Why bother getting a job since you can't even walk? Was a refrain I heard all too often. So I've basically been flipping that script since then, and after this talk, with the added exceptional bonus of working through the Self-Advocacy Learning Program, I believe you will too. So here's the new script, one we're going to start today. It's one I like to call the perks of disability. I encourage you to embrace it for yourselves. Where did this thought come from, given the lack of encouragement I faced? Well, I have to say it all started with my father. Early on, he taught me a very important truth. He said, if you have a problem and you have a solution, then you have no problem, because obviously you have a fix for it. On the other hand, if you have a problem and you have no solution, then what do you have? Well, maybe you have no problem. Think about that. Is it a problem to be who you are? I thought about what he said long and hard, and his words became the ground I stand on today, or maybe sit right now. I understood then that I would never be able to walk without crutches. I would always look different. But if I had crutches, I would walk. I would take whatever life had to offer me, and the crutches, also known as the disability, would always come along. They would always be part of my journey, and that was whether I liked it or not. Because the truth is, sometimes in life, you don't like it. But oh well, my father helped me see that everything would work out fine even if I didn't know how. Being different did not have to be a showstopper. If I put in the effort, no matter how terrified I might be, I would still be on some kind of adventure. I just didn't know what. I simply had to learn to navigate life as I was, disability and all, no matter what. I had to observe and decide through experience where my disability could be a help or a hindrance to me in any given situation. Bear in mind that when I started, there were absolutely no supports for people like me. So I had to learn through experience. I had to discern when it felt right to be quiet or to speak up, what to say and how to say it, who to say it to, and who maybe not to speak to at all. I had to discern when I felt unsafe and when I felt supported and go from there. Though I did not know it at the time, this is the work of self-advocacy. This is the core work. And I'm here to tell you, if I made it through, so will you. Here are some examples of how I built self-advocacy into my own life. I'm going to touch briefly on how you'll have the opportunity to build your own set of perks. The perks of disability being the mindset that is absolutely key to self-advocacy. So let's dive in. The number one perks of disability is to focus on your ability. How did this work in my life? My inability to play sports and my lack of ability to walk, run, and jump did not matter. Think about that. When it came to learning, passing exams, drawing, painting, writing, whatever I chose to put my attention on, I was an ace, and that's what really counted. In short, I loved to do what I was good at, and I wasn't presented with very many other options. So that meant I did not waste time and effort on stuff I didn't like and couldn't do. The disability made me efficient. My disability helped me zero in on my strengths very early on. Later, I focused on demonstrated excellence of those strengths where I could in my job searches and interviews. So what's in all this for you? Well, you're going to have the opportunity to focus on your own abilities in the self-advocacy learning mini course very shortly. You'll be writing your own strength and challenge solution statements. Now let's move on to perk of disability number 2, and that is that, like it or not, your disability is going to make you memorable to many people. So how this related to my life? I decided at age 12 that since I didn't fit in socially and my school did not allow me to participate in physical education, the only path forward for me was to be smart. I was going to show up and smile through all of that. Well, this gave me a habit of study, and before I knew it, I graduated from high school with honors. I got prizes and scholarships all the way through. I excelled in my studies and ended up with a PhD in anthropology and my thesis published by Oxford University. This heady combination of intellect and achievement may not be your path, but remember this. Combined with the unexpected element of visible physical differences, whatever you choose is going to help you, as it did me, stand out from the crowd. People do not expect us to show up, so when we do, it can open doors. I use the recognition factor associated with my disability in positive ways every chance I got. I learned to be memorable in interviews for my education, commitment, integrity, ability, relatability, and work ethic. You will shortly have the opportunity to focus on making yourself memorable because you'll soon be writing your very own disability positive statements in the self-advocacy learning mini courses. So now we move on to the perks of disability number 3. And this one is interesting because it presents a paradox. Your disability can be the very thing that helps you build confidence, flexibility, and transferable skills. What this means is, in my case, when I was faced with lack of opportunity, or all too often the realization that a particular type of work environment might not work for me because of my own limitations, I switched gears in favor of whatever showed up instead. I accepted jobs that on the face of it lay well outside my initial aspirations. Why? Because I needed to build my skills, my network, and my resume with real world job experience. I didn't realize the path I would take at the time, but this flexibility is how I went from academia and research to media and television production to customer service roles to radio, culture, and visual arts. I got through business banking, and finally, I ended up in my favorite world, corporate communications. I used my life experience to champion diversity and inclusion for people with disabilities at work as often as I could. Basically, I found ways to work within my core skills, values, and passions, even when my job title seemed like, what? Very far off the original mark. So, what's in my story for you? You will have the opportunity to dig deep into your own lived experience of disability and how it can give you confidence, flexibility, and that great gold nugget of transferable skills, because you will shortly be writing your very own disability edge in the workplace statement, courtesy of the self-advocacy learning mini courses. Now we're moving on to the perks of disability number 4. This one is easy, but very important. It is know your environment and the people around you. So how this relates to what happened for me? Well, essentially, when things got rough, when I wasn't getting hired or I got downsized, I worked on my health and well-being. I kept calm through exercise, learning new skills, and developing artistic expression. I reached out to friends and allies, and this phrase is key, the friends and allies who wanted to help. If somebody looked like their eyes glazed over when they were talking to me, I would think, right, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll find somebody else to ask. I sought out stable, well-regulated, inclusive work environments, workplaces where people viewed employees with disabilities as assets rather than liabilities. This is very important. I chose to stay close to people and peer groups who could see the value I brought to their team. When needed, I did self-advocate, I did speak up, and eventually, obviously, I got the support and the job that I needed. What's in this story for you? You will have the opportunity to focus on what looks like an optimal work environment for you when you write your very own needs access statement. Finally, we arrive at The last perk of disability that I'm going to talk about today, and that is perseverance pays off. I cannot say this enough. What it means is that many of my disability-related challenges when I first began were eventually resolved by societal and technological evolution. My ability to work was enhanced enormously by access to Wheel-Trans, because this resolved the distance I could travel and it resolved my fatigue. So it expanded my catchment area for employment. Second thing, and no less important, was advances in voice dictation and computer processing. This resolved my inability to type and so ended my social and economic isolation. Cannot overstate that one enough. The third eventuality was the advent of remote work. This resolved my inability to participate fully. Since I was no longer subject to schedules at home, I could participate in more meetings. I could get more work done. I could spend more hours doing things that I loved at work than ever before. Finally, there are a couple of things that simultaneously came about through societal changes. One being accessibility legislation, which affords our community protection from discrimination. Second thing, an awareness has emerged that aligning with disability inclusive practices, as you can see here today, is very good for society. Remember this, that society is now at the point of recognizing that people with disabilities are value add. That did not exist when I began. Finally, the notion that supporting employees, customers, and clients with disabilities and diverse communities is good for business has taken root, at least in Canada. And this is very important because it allows for the idea that people with disabilities, and this is supported by statistics, which right now I cannot remember exactly, but anyway, it is the fact that we are economic drivers. I faced many barriers when I began that I had no idea how to handle. But what matters is I went for whatever opened up for me and I kept on going. And this is something that you will be able to do as well. I recommend that you find the positive and always stay alert to new possibilities through changing times. Finally, my parting gift to you is that as Humber students in the TTW program, you will have what I did not. You will have the benefit of my 30 years of lived experience in the workforce without the anxiety, because you will have the mindset for success that I've distilled into the video series created for the Self-Advocacy Learning mini courses. You will also have focused, consistent, repeatable exercises developed by Elaine Belanger-Porter to help you. And finally, all of this will help you build the crucial resilience skills through the lens of your very own situation. You will, in short, have the opportunity to prepare for and succeed as you are in the world of work. I had none of this, and you'll have it all. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you make the most of the tools we've provided and see where it takes you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Marina, for sharing with us the perks of disabilities and also the anecdote that you shared about your father. I think that is really nice. A problem with a solution is not a problem. And I think reframing how we think about problems and using a positive, resilient mindset really can make a difference. So thank you for sharing those with us. And Marina made reference to some of the videos that are in the learning modules. She has done some incredible work with some really great graphics and a very powerful script for several videos, making the learning modules even more engaging. So hopefully you will have a chance to see those and experience those. We did have a couple questions, or we did have a couple minutes if folks did have any immediate questions for Marina. We have some time for Q&A at the end, but was there anything that Marina said or that came up that anybody wanted to ask about? Oh, yes, we did have one, I think, on Teams. And that was, do you have any particular suggestions for people whose disabilities are not immediately visible?
Well, I think through the self-advocacy learning mini courses videos that I created, it really is about the internal mindset. And I think that applies for people with invisible disabilities as well. Because even if the outside world does not see what is happening within you, you can still feel very, very vulnerable. So, this idea of the mindset of knowing that you have so much to offer from everything that you are is really the one that you need to build internally. And then, of course, the same principles do apply in terms of how you really have to learn how to talk about it in a way that does not in a way that helps you put your best foot forward so that the other person in the conversation, whoever that person may be, whether it's an employer or someone else, does not sort of develop this picture of you that is based on what you may be perceived to be a lack. Because this is the area where we struggle to talk about this. Because when I was growing up, for example, and even now, people do not want to talk about disability. They don't have a framework. The self-advocacy learning modules are, mini courses are the beginnings of that framework of discussion.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if the person online is at Humber or not, but if you are at Humber and you have the opportunity to go through these mini courses, I would say start there.
That's great. Thank you. I'm not sure. Actually, they haven't said whether they are a member of the Humber community or not, but I think that's very it's a very powerful exercise that takes practice and takes work and takes reflection to look at your strengths and practice how you're going to deliver those strengths in a meaningful way to whoever your audience is.
Yes.
And have that come from within.
Yes.
That confidence. Wonderful. Any other questions? Yes. 1 second. We have, just so the folks online can hear, we'll need the mic. Thank you, Nafisa.
Thank you. First, before I ask my question, I just want to say your presentation was awesome. It was unbelievable. Just the strength and the courage that you showed as you progressed through it. It was honestly, it was inspiring. It was indeed inspiring for you to show that when you started, there was nothing there. But then for you to overcome that barrier and then to show your vulnerability, not just to yourself, but to others, and feel comfortable enough. It's, oh my goodness. I can't even, so thank you very much for that. So that kind of leads into my question. What motivated you when you started, as you kind of overcame your own barriers and not having anything, and kind of what motivated you to kind of say, okay, I'm comfortable in myself. I need to help other people feel comfortable and to show your vulnerability. What motivated you to do that?
I wouldn't say that I felt comfortable in myself. No, I never really felt that. I felt like there was a giant split in how I felt internally and how society seemed to see me. But I will say, and this is going back to my father once again, I don't know exactly why he did this, but when I was 12 or 13, we all went to Spain because he was from Spain. And I realized that I couldn't speak Spanish to my cousins. I thought, wow. And at that time, there was no such thing as Spanish in the school system. We only had French, German, and Latin. So my father asked me after that trip, what would you like to do next summer? And I said, I want to learn Spanish. And he said, okay, well, we'll send you to Spain. And I'm like, oh my God, I was only 12 or 13. He did that. I went. So I realized from that time that I could do, he gave me the feeling that I could do things. Now, that didn't make it any easier for me navigating out in the world. There was still this big divide, but I would say I knew from those early experiences that if I was going to have anything to do in life, I was going to go do it. Like, why did walking have to be such an impediment? Because most things we do don't require it. Especially now in the age of information, right?
So
I didn't want to be a long distance runner. I didn't want to be an opera singer. I mean, I love opera, but I know I can't sing. So why does it matter? And then so to answer your question, it took me a very long time to feel confident. Like I said, I only really started speaking up about 10 years ago. And that's because I absolutely, I had to. I had to finally just say, look, I need help. I need a job. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. But I managed by then to frame it as, if you give me these supports, then I'm going to be able to do that much more for you than before. Right?
yes.
And I always I have people around me who supported me in this, whatever it was, life quest to do life. One of whom is sitting right there next to you.
Let's help you with lifing.
Yes. When I went through one of 3 reorgs, he basically said, you have to be the standing woman. This comes from a film that we had just watched. I think it was The Bridge of Spies. And there's one character who says to another, you know, this guy, they kept beating him up. He kept getting up. He got up twice. He got up the third time. After the third time, they left him alone. That's a great truism in life. You try again, you try again,
Keep
and
trying.
then all of a sudden, it's like the mountain's been removed.
So honestly, so for that tells me then what you have accomplished, not feeling comfortable, because most people, when they don't feel comfortable, they hide within themselves. So for you to not feel comfortable and still accomplish what you have accomplished, hats off to you.
Yeah.
Can continue.
Thank you. Marina, we had one more question before we move on to Elaine, and we will have more time at the end for Q&A. So we'll take Yasmin, your question.
Hi, Dr. Miller. Thank you for your great presentation. It was really insightful. I have a question about a narrative that's come up a lot in my advising sessions with students who have a disability, where they share with me this concern that using accommodations feels like cutting corners or makes them feel weak compared to students who are not using accommodations and who do not have a disability. And I was wondering, how can we support our students in deconstructing that idea that using your accommodations is taking a shortcut?
Oh, again, this goes back to something that I went through. I was very much like those students, so much so that when I got to graduate school, we had something called preliminary exams. And the way that those worked, bear with me for a second, they would have 4 exams over the course of 2 days, 4 hours each. Well, the first time I tried that, I conked out after the 3rd exam. I remember writing on the 4th exam, I am very sorry, but I cannot do this. I am too tired. This prompted the people in my department, bear in mind I was already in graduate school, I had a scholarship, this doesn't happen. They decided to give me a second chance. So, second year I did those because you had to repeat them all. You had to pass them all. If you didn't pass them all, you repeated all of it. I did them all again. And this time I did a lot better. They knew I knew my stuff because we had a choice of 2 different questions. I always chose the harder one and I did very well. But again, I couldn't finish. And if I couldn't finish, well, guess what? I was stuck. And so the professor actually had to come to me and say, look, we really want you to pass. We know you can do it, but you need to ask us. We can't offer, but if you need more time, whatever it is you need, we'll do it, but you have to ask. So I did. And what they allowed me to do was to take a week. They said, you can come to this place. You take as long as you want. If it takes you 8 hours a day to do one exam, you do that. And then you come back for the next exam the next day. So what they did was they helped me manage my fatigue and my limitations so that I could actually pass my program. But I had to ask, and I had to get over the shame that I felt internally of having to ask. But the reality behind all of this is that if you need help, people are willing to give it. They don't care. They don't care if you're in a wheelchair or you have crutches or you're blind or you're deaf. They see that. Most people nowadays are very aware of vulnerabilities and everyone wants to help. But I think it's partly our job to understand that that's not a negative. It's actually a positive because it introduces the idea of we can all relate, we can all come together to help one another when we're able to.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So Marina is still here for the remainder of the event, and we'll have a little bit more time for Q&A. But I would like to now turn it over to our very own Elaine Belanger-Porter, our Student Success Advisor from Advising and Career Services, who is going to talk about Oh, where did our slides go? Who's going to talk about our modules? That's fine.
Here's how President Vaughan frames this moment. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development predicts Canada will be the worst performing advanced economy from 2020 to 2030. We are at a critical time in this country. We need the polytechnic approach to realize our potential and position us as the leaders we are. This raised a question for me. What can I do as a career educator to meet this moment? Let's ground this reality in facts. Reality number one, the number of Canadians with at least one disability has doubled in the last 10 years. Fastest growth is among youth and working age adults, or our learners. We feel it in the classrooms and we feel it in work placement preparation. This is why our polytechnic approach matters. Reality number two, mental health related disabilities, one of the core neurodivergent categories, has increased by 6 percentage points nationally since 2017, making them one of the fastest rising disability groups in Canada. This reality impacts readiness for work and how we prepare learners with disabilities to become career-ready citizens. Because, by the way, Humber's goal is that these learners leave as career-ready citizens. Of course, they're going to be academically prepared, but Humber's education goes beyond that to the career piece. This makes our polytechnic approach essential. Before the final quote, I printed this report because I wanted to make sure that I was giving you accurate information. Let's pause for a moment. One million fellow Canadians can work want to work but are not working today. Why? Because they don't have the supports. So the barrier is not disability. The barrier is the system. Let me make these stats real. A Humber story behind these statistics. I worked with this graduate, honor student from a STEM program, exceptional industry standard resume, portfolio, marketable skills-based resume, confident interview performer, lives with invisible disabilities and a mental health condition, requires workplace accommodations to get a job. What you don't see here is that this graduate was terrified to talk about their disability. And I asked Marina, I said, Marina, is terrified too strong? And she said, no. They carried a quiet burden of shame and fear, even though getting the right supports is what makes work possible for this person. And here's the question I cannot get out of my mind, and a question that we as a society cannot afford to overlook. How, if this graduate has a solution to Canada's productivity crisis, but will never get the chance to show it? So here's what we know. Canada faces a widening productivity gap crisis, as President Vaughan warns. Disability and neurodivergence are rising sharply in this country. Over 1 million Canadians could work, but don't have the access to the supports that they need. So if supports aren't there, how do learners with disabilities who require accommodations bridge the employment gap? If talent is stuck, how do we release it into Canada's workforce? If self-advocacy unlocks the talent, how do we make it a national productivity strategy? So here's what I mean when I say our polytechnic approach. In the context of today's launch, we activate untapped disability inclusive talent by teaching learners to advocate for the supports that enable workforce participation. We turn self-advocacy into a productivity strategy, giving learners the tools to remove barriers and to bring their talent into the economy. And we move more capable graduates into Canada's workforce through applied learning that Humber is famous for, but pair it with self-advocacy skills that unlock their potential. Now, let's move insight to action. We are going to shift from what is important to Humber to what it means for learners and the practical tools you can start using today. Exercise 1. So I'm going to read the instructions and then you can begin. So Julie, you're going to be my timekeeper. So exercise 1 is a strength statement. So on your chairs, you have handouts. Please take out your handouts. I think we have enough to go around. And please find how to write a strength statement. So once you see that, I would ask you to review the color-coded formula plus the example. Just do a quick review of it. Okay. And scan the 4 sample categories. So I want you to practice self-advocacy right now. Okay, so let's start practicing it. So I'd like you to pair up and take turns saying strength statements. Okay, if you prefer to work alone, please read out loud. But I would like you to say these statements out loud. And from this epicenter, we're just going to start to emote this energy into all of Toronto, starting here. So you will have 5 minutes for a quick review and to practice. Okay, you can start. So pair up, please. So Julie, you can start the timer. 5 minutes. Sure. Okay, everyone, speak it out loud. We want to hear it because your voice is powerful. Okay, good. Strengths statements. You want to look at it? I think it is.
You know where the camera is?
The camera is there.
Behind us.
Yeah, the camera is there. Yeah, that is. Yeah, they can. Practice your strength statements. Because every self-advocacy conversation starts and ends with a strength statement. Okay, you have 2 minutes left. So say as many statements as you can. There's 4 categories: current students, summer jobs, will placements at your first job.
We'd be scared to talk.
Okay, you have 1 minute to finish up. Thirty seconds to go. So thank you for participating. So I have one question. How do you feel when you talk about strengths? How does it make you feel? 10 feet tall. I'm not asking what you think. What are you feeling? Right. You feel empowered. You'll notice that these strength statements end in an achievement. Self-advocacy conversations need to start with a strength statement and end with a strength statement. Okay, so let me explain the self-advocacy toolkit. The toolkit is going public. Anyone in the world will have access to this toolkit. Okay, kudos to Humber for releasing this. It is organized in 4 themes. So you will find 7 of these template statements in the toolkit. So each of them comes with a formula, an example, room to write your own statement. The actual mini course will be available to the Humber community on Blackboard. Okay. It is also organized in 4 sections, which will be the modules. So that will include short lessons, examples, and practice activities. So in short, The toolkit, you can use it right now. Advisors, staff, faculty, students, quick, easy access to these statements. And the mini course, it goes into more depth with short lessons. The mini course, I put the word mini because it is short, compact lessons. Okay? Exercise 2. Please open your packages and write a personal access needs statement. We used to call this a self-disclosure statement. We are moving away from that language because disclosure is not empowered language. It has negative connotations. So we're moving away from that language. So have a look at the formula, have a look at the examples, and then again, pair up, because this one's a little bit different because we're starting to ask for accommodations. So I want to get your feedback, how you feel about talking about your needs. Okay, so you will have 5 minutes. Julie's going to time for us to practice a personal access needs statement. Okay, go for it. So start the timer, Julie. Please pair up and speak your statement aloud. What's the time? No, what's the actual time? No, what is it?
Oh, 2:30.
2:30, okay. We are encouraging you to say these statements out loud. Personal access and need statements. Yeah. Good. Minute, folks. So how do people feel when they say these statements? Because you're asking for an accommodation with that statement. But how does it make you feel when you talk about it like this? I love it. I feel seen. Okay? Part nice. Your input is valued. You are part of a process. Total difference. Are you sharing what the disability is? No. Is there any kind of diagnostics going on in this statement? Okay, is there any apology for the disability in this statement? No. You are simply and objectively sharing what you need. Case closed. And actually, this statement ends with the question. So, who is responsible for taking the next steps? No. Look at the statement. There's a collaborative question at the end of the statement. Who has to take the next steps? Right. The employer has to take the next step. You are putting that responsibility towards the employer. Awesome. Okay. So I'm not going to read this, but this shows you how these 7 statements are organized. So you are practicing 3 of the 7 statements that make up the self-advocacy toolkit. If you want to adapt some of these statements, just go on Copilot. Okay, use AI to modify these statements. And if you're working with a student with a particular condition, use the power of AI. This is just your starting point. Okay. Let's go to our last exercise. Whoops. Okay. Marina mentioned the perks of disability and flipping the script. A disability edge statement flips the script. Okay, please take it out. Just review the example. Review the formula. We're showing you exactly how to create that statement. And let's practice the disability edge. What is the advantage that your disability brings to the workplace. Let's flip the script. Okay. So, Julie, we will start now. We will give you 5 minutes to practice the disability edge statements. Let's flip the script. Let's talk about the disability edge in the workplace. And I said, wow, speak it out. And our viewers online also have the PDFs that you can open and look at and follow along. We'll give you 1 more minute. So, folks, how do you feel? Not what you think. How do you feel when you talk about disability edge? Frank. Exactly. We need the mic. Where's the mic? Okay, okay, I'll repeat. It turns disability into ability. I am possible instead of I am impossible. You have an example right here, sitting before you, this lovely lady. Marina and I worked together at CBC. I actually hired her out of her PhD program many moons ago. But we've stayed friends all these years. What are other feelings? You are flipping the script. Most of society does not think like this. A lot of people with disabilities don't think like this. So how does it feel making the impossible possible? Absolutely. Oh, okay. So paraphrased is I'm a contributor. I have something to contribute to the success of a project, a company, an organization. So I'm here to contribute. Yes.
I think for me, all of this, it feels very empowering and authentic.
No,
Sorry. I think all of this for me, it feels very empowering and authentic. Yeah.
Yes.
To kind of piggyback on what she just said about being, because I think a lot of people, I'm one with an invisible disability, and one of the things I struggled with was I need to be myself. But because I had a disability, I'm trying to fit into society instead of being myself. So, but by not being myself, I can't contribute. It's not be me. I'm not being authentically me. But with this now and what's happening, I'm feeling more comfortable being myself with my disability. So therefore, I am able to do more. I'm more focused. I'm more empowered. I'm more motivated because I want to show people what I can do being me. You know, and something like my grandmother used to say, be yourself, the world will catch up. Be yourself, the world will catch up.
And Canada needs to do a lot of catching up very fast if we are to become the leaders, the productivity, how we live our society. So we've got a lot of catching up to do. Okay. So, here's where you can go for the toolkit. The career resources is open to the public. Well, both these sites are open to the public. The career tools are now available for download. Yes. Sorry. I can't hear you. 2 minutes? Oh, 2 minutes. Okay. So we will watch the video after, okay, because I only have 2 minutes. Huh? Okay, so if anybody has to leave, please leave. We will not take it personal because we know that you're on a time frame. I am now showing you the learning mini course platform on Blackboard. You'll notice here, these colors are from the Disability Pride flag. So these colors are incorporated throughout the entire module. We are first starting with the mindset piece that Marina introduced. So that is the first section of these modules. So we're going to watch the video now. Okay, let's watch the video from module 2. And just to summarize, Marina scripted, created, produced these videos because from her experience, from my experience, the mindset is the first area we need to change. Okay, we can't change what's out there, but we can change what's in here.
Sometimes, as people with disabilities, we think we will get hired if we focus only on what we believe employers find desirable in us. But how can we know what they want? Especially when many of us believe that our disability is undesirable when it comes to employment. But how do we know that's true? What if we're wrong? There's only one way to find out, and that's to reframe our beliefs around our disabilities and our possibilities for employment. Let's imagine that we are speaking with an employer in a job interview. It takes practice, but the ability to reframe begins with believing wholeheartedly that an employer is just as invested in our success as we are. When we feel confident in our ability to reframe our disability as an advantage in the workplace, our positive mindset can make us a #1 asset to an employer. Here's a reality check that helps us reframe. Employers value employees who can solve problems. Problem solving is something that our disability helps us do every day. Disability adds value to the workplace. Problem solving is key to resilience and innovation. Employers value employees who know when to ask for help to achieve positive outcomes. Getting best results is something that our disability helps us do every day. Disability adds value to the workplace. Getting best results is key to collaboration and teamwork. Employers value employees who manage their time and effort. Being well prepared is something that our disability helps us do every day. Disability adds value to the workplace. Time management is key to productivity and organizational excellence. Employers value employees who show commitment and focus on the work they do. Staying focused is something that our disability helps us do every day. Disability adds value to the workplace. Committed focus is key to loyalty and trust. When we reframe our disability as an employment advantage, we are making it easier for the employer to understand our full range of skills and abilities and how we can help them succeed. No matter what our hopes and dreams, our skills and qualifications, our strengths, our challenges, our disabilities, we can find an employer who is looking for everything we already are.
So I'll just scroll through these quickly. These are the sections I just discussed. So, is Sal worth our attention? This project is over a year in the making. Did we waste our time? Or is this worth it? Since transition to work launch in 2017, the most frequent asked questions and concerns have centered on accommodations and self-advocacy. And here's what the Canadian Journal of Disability Studies reports. Self-advocacy has arguably become one of the most centrally positioned priorities in Canadian post-secondary disability service provision frameworks. Here's a summary of what we discussed, but I want to end this session asking you a few questions. So we've returned to the same slide I started with, but the focus is totally different. Today, we began a warning about a national crisis. What does that mean? A decline in productivity means a decline in our standard of living. So, this moment is not about challenge or crises. This moment here, starting right here, this is the epicenter right here, is a moment for leadership. And leadership requires bold action. So I leave you with 3 questions. Can we at Humber take a leadership role in normalizing open, everyday conversations about disability and accommodations, so they become part of who we are and not an exception to the rule? Number 2, can we at Humber take a leadership role in positioning self-advocacy training as a productivity strategy for this crisis that we're living? One that turns untapped talent of people with disabilities into the skilled contributors our economy urgently needs. Finally, can we take a leadership role in igniting a self-advocacy movement, one that begins here and grows to influence colleges and universities across Canada? Thanks.
Thank you, Elaine. I have watched you work on this project for the last year, and self-advocacy is extremely important, and the passion with which you talk about it makes everybody, I'm sure, want to do this work. But this work in self-advocacy that is happening at Humber wouldn't be possible without the advocacy that you are doing. And so I want to thank you personally for bringing this value to Humber, to our department, to Transition to Work, and to our learners. And I hope that our learners and our alumni that are here today will leave feeling motivated and excited to use the hard work and the dedication and the passion that you've put into these resources that you shared with us today. And I hope you're extremely proud of all of the incredible work that you have done on this project. Okay. So that brings us to the end of our event today. I want to thank everyone for being here today, for staying with us, for your participation in all of the activities. And I want to say thank you to Shashi Bhatt, who is our TTW specialist. She put so much time and energy into planning. And this is our last event of the year. And we have been fortunate to be funded by CIBC for the last 3 years for Transition to Work. And our funding is now coming to an end as well. And so this is a bit of a celebration of that as well for us. Transition to Work will not end. The work will continue. Next year is our milestone 10th anniversary. So Elaine and Keith, two of our founding members, I hope you'll be here with me to celebrate our decade of incredible advocacy work through transition to work. But I do want to say thank you to Shashi. You have helped us to move through this last year of transition to work in your dedicated role and support. So thank you and all of your hard work for planning today. Marina, again, I want to thank you for being here, for your support of this work at Humber. Without your research, we wouldn't have been able to move forward with this project. And of course, the collaboration between you and Elaine is seamless. And so that has helped for this success. But thank you for being here in person and being able to show what self-advocacy looks like and talking about your own experiences. So thank you again. So we do have refreshments available. We hope that folks will stay and mingle and chat. If you have questions about any of the resources or tools that we've talked about today, we do have a couple minutes if there are any additional questions. But folks will be around as well, and so feel free to find any of us from the committee if you have other questions. Yes, Maurice.
I have quite a few, but I'll keep it just to two. I'll keep it just to two. I just noticed that with Shashi, when she, and I also noticed on there that the self-advocacy is only on one side. Now, I'm kind of curious. I was just wondering, and I know it's just starting. I'm just wondering, would there be a possibility to add it to the other side as well, to almost like being almost like an intricate part? So once they do the review of the accommodation letter and they go through occupational research, everybody then kind of moves into self-advocacy, then go into the work integration, go into will, then go into work placement. Because again, that ability to do that. Also, one other quick point, as an alumni, I'm not a current student or faculty anymore, but will Blackboard and this system be available to alumni? I still have my student number. Will I be also able to access the information as an alumni? So, thank you.
Great questions. Thank you, Maurice. So to address the first question, if that's okay, Shashi and Elaine, can I take a stab at it? Yeah. So the way that this is built is really about the two different streams of services. And so by no means does it mean that the self-advocacy skill building won't happen for folks who go through the stream through accessible learning services. Some of the founding members of the Transition to Work Committee and Initiative are members of the Accessible Learning Services team. And so what happens here, and when what's not visible in this exact path, is the referral process that happens between Accessible Learning Services and Advising and Career Services. So that's one of the integral pieces, is that Elaine receives referrals from the folks in Accessible Learning Services all the time. And we're working on strengthening that relationship and making that process more seamless for learners and alumni as well, so that they don't get lost in the process, that there's a warm referral from your accessible learning advisor to Elaine. But the other thing, and I think this is, I'm going to put this out in the universe, Elaine, so it happens, is today is just the first day. This is just the first step in this process. And so, we have a lot of plans around how we can continue to launch the modules, how we can make them more accessible, how learners will know about them. There's still a lot of marketing and a lot of information that needs to go out so that we can make the modules themselves more accessible. So that kind of addresses your second question. But also, how can we use these tools as training materials for other advisors on campus? And we're lucky that we have some staff here today and some of the folks from our own team in Advising and Career Services who can start to use these resources that are part of the toolkit that Elaine shared with you today, to use those as we can use that as training material to work with the accommodations advisors, so that the self-advocacy skill building doesn't just have to come from the services that Elaine delivers, but can come from any service that a student accesses on campus. Great question. Thank you for that. Any other questions? Yes.
I can ask? Okay. So on behalf of, I'm not a student, but if I were a student who wanted access to the modules on Blackboard, how would I go about that?
Excellent question, and that wasn't planted, I promise. There is a form available on our website, which is careers.humber.ca. There is a page on our website for disability support, and there is a Microsoft Forms link there, or a form, embedded form, where students can fill out their N numbers, and that will come directly to us, and we will work with the folks in Innovative Learning to add students to those courses by request. So that's the process right now. Thank you for asking that. Yes.
I just want to double check to make sure I'm clear to part, because I know you said it was open to the public, which I think is fabulous. Will that include the modules, like the mini courses? Will they also be available to the public? And can I add just one other thing? This is fabulous. I think as I sit here, I teach in child and youth care. And so I'm just like, there are so many ways we can use this. And, you know, coming out of post-pandemic, I think we see so many students who struggle with communication, self-awareness, how to sell themselves to employers. So I just feel like this is so adaptable, and I would love to see our students take this and use it in the field and supporting young people and transitional age adults with disabilities into the workforce. So I just think, thank you both for your incredible work. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for that. As of right now, we haven't yet made the links public beyond learners. So right now it's embedded in Blackboard. So that will be maybe part of the process. We haven't yet figured that out. But the toolkit resources that Elaine shared, all of those worksheets, those are public on our website. So careers.humber.ca. If you go to our resources page, under career resources, there is a link there for the self-advocacy toolkit. So the toolkit itself is available to the public. As of right now, the courses are not, but that might be the future plan. Let's see. Let's see where things take us. But thank you. Thank you for your positive comments as well. Okay, last but not least, we have a raffle. Everybody have their tickets? Did everybody receive a ticket? No, okay, a couple folks that need to get some tickets first. And while we're waiting, I will kindly ask folks, so you will see a QR code on the screen. We always appreciate your feedback at these events, and so if you would mind take a few minutes to complete the survey while we do the raffle, that would be fantastic. No, you have to give them one side and take one side. Yeah. No, you don't need your name. That's okay. I'm just going to read the number. Yeah, I'm going to do the raffle. Did you want to wait for 2 minutes?
For 2 minutes?
No.
I can wait for 2 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Hold on to your ticket. I don't need your name because I'm going to read out the numbers.
Oh.
Yeah, it's based on the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So we will be doing 5 tickets. And apologies to my online folks. So ticket number 1, would you like to read the number for us?
04605513.
Oh, Karuna. Wonderful. So we have our first winner. Okay, here, let me. Okay, Marina's going to pick our next one. So that one's yours.
That's yours.
Okay, so it's 04605511. Anybody have this?
5511.
5511. I think the person probably. Okay. Okay, you can pick one more.
No takers? Okay.
Okay, I've got another one here, 80067752.
7752. Okay. No.
Hopefully someone will have this one. Okay, so this is 046055512.
512. Yay! So I'm just going to take down, we'll take your ticket. We're going to have you write your name on it and your email address, and we're going to be emailing you your gift card based on the choice that you would like. Okay, I think we're going to do, how many more? We're going to do 3 more. Okay, so I have 046055514. 5514? Oh, okay. It's an inside job. Okay, 80067753. How many more do I have to pick? 2 more, I think? 7754. 80067754. Anthony, yay! Okay. Okay, and I think we have the last one here. 7918. 80067918. 7918. Yay! Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you, folks, for coming today. Thank you so much for being here, for your support and your excitement, enthusiasm for the launch of our modules and for participating. We'd like to invite you to stay for refreshments. So just around the corner here, we have some time to network. If you'd like to chat with anyone, there's a lot of food. And to our online folks, I know that you have joined and stayed engaged and active online. So a special thank you to all of you as well online for participating. And I just want to say thank you to Keith. You can't see Keith on camera. Keith's hiding in the corner. He's our tech support for today and navigating the screen. So thank you, Keith. And our students have left for today, but we were very grateful to have 2 of our students, Shantru and Harsh, here today to help us as well. So thank you, everyone. And please join us for some refreshments.